Let's do it. Step into the world.
Good. Yeah.
Don't think it matters. Okay, everybody, we're recording now.
Hello, everyone. We're recording now. We are live. We're going to get things started.
That's good. Because there's going to be a lot of people.
Okay, I've never used this thing. Ready? Hooray! Good afternoon. I am Chair Joanna Patrice Haggerty. I would like to welcome you to the March 21st, 2024 Public Art and Cultural Commission meeting. The Public Art and Culture Commission is responsible for promoting and maintaining art in the city of Asheville. We help inform about public art as a major attraction for artists, cultural tourism, and economic development to advance the city of Asheville as an arts destination. The commission is also responsible for developing a procedure for the selection of artists, and we are a 9-member appointed commission appointed by the city council. All committee members and staff are participating in person, which is kind of our second time doing that. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, in a while anyway.
In a while, yes. We are also streaming live on the city's YouTube channel at City of Asheville and the Public Art and Cultural Commission public input page at publicinput.com/W6662. Voicemail and written comments should have been submitted before 5 p.m. yesterday. We did not receive any. For those of you who are here watching on our YouTube channel today and in person, welcome. And just one quick note, last time we did not really use these microphones and we realized you cannot hear on the streaming. So everybody make sure we're speaking into the mics just so that everybody can hear.
Yeah, last time it was like a soft murmur the entire meeting.
So I will try and remind ourselves too, but okay, so if everybody is ready, we will get started. To help everybody who is listening or streaming online, I will state the agenda items aloud, and the first thing we have is voting on the draft meeting minutes from February 2024. So did everyone get a chance to look at those? Cool. Anybody have any updates or changes or anything we need to add there? Okay. Anybody would like to approve those?
I'll move.
Awesome. A second?
I'll second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. Anyone opposed? Seems like we all were in favor. All right, moving right along. The next big thing on our agenda is the voting on a new vice chair. So we had 2 nominations that came through, Pat Kappas and Brent Skidmore, who unfortunately isn't able to be here today, so this makes it a little more challenging. But I think we wanted to make sure that we could open a quick little discussion, and if there are any other nominations, we can have that before we roll into a vote. Just any thoughts or feelings about the nominations we have, or anyone else we might want to consider nominating?
I think those 2 are good nominees.
Yeah. We all feel good about that? Okay, I think the other thing we were gonna do, it's a little difficult because there's 2 individuals here, right? Do we want to give Pat a chance to speak a little bit about who she is? I don't know how much everybody knows who you are. We could just vote. I'm not sure. What do we feel like is the best way?
I think we can just move into voting if
Cool.
everybody's okay with
Yeah,
that.
I definitely don't want to force a conversation.
This is her first
I
meeting.
know. That's why I don't want to
so,
just rush.
I mean, we could go around and we could do that welcome right now and kind of introductions of, everybody's background and how long they've been on the commission, just super quick. If that feels appropriate to do right now. I know we're like in the middle of a motion for vice chair, so.
Yeah, let's do that. I feel like it feels a little unfair to be like, let's vote. And so, yeah, maybe we'll just do a super quick who we are, how long we've been here, unless you're ready to roll.
I think that's fine. It's just great. I know Pat. I don't know this other person. So
That makes it
if we're
hard.
having an expectation
Yeah,
for me to vote, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do with that.
that's super fair.
Yep,
You know,
yep,
like
yep.
you want to talk about Brent, or is it Brent?
Yes, Brent.
If you want to talk about Brent or something like that, that would be helpful. Otherwise, I will be uninformed.
I think that's
Just
really fair.
abstain.
Yeah.
We can do that.
I guess we could. I think we have to have 5 people vote because of a quorum.
Do we know if Brent's interested?
I asked him, he said he would keep his name in the hat. He
Keep it
actually
open.
said something I won't repeat here, but then he was like, sure, keep my name in. I was like, okay.
I can fill in that place.
Okay, cool. Well, I think does anybody want to talk a little bit about Brent's experience? And we can absolutely go around and do a quick round robin too, and then open it for vote. That way we just have a little bit of convo about Brent too. Okay, awesome.
It doesn't have to be.
I was gonna say, who feels like the most equipped to speak about Brent?
Would you like to speak about Brent, or you want me to do it?
If you go ahead, please.
So Brent Skidmore is the professor of public art for UNCA. Is that his title? What is his
I
title?
know, that's where I was nervous.
Public art and administration.
Hold on.
Yeah, I can look up his bio.
But he has helped manage the STEAM studio. He's also part of the Art Center Owen there at the university, and has been involved in a lot of different public art projects that the city has done through the STEAM studio. But Brent just joined the Public Art and Cultural Commission
In January, he was nominated.
So he's brand new to the
Appointed.
commission.
Yeah, so I have his bio here.
I was like, I just saw it too.
So he is the collaborative co-founder of STEAM Studio at UNCA, the Public Art and Humanities Chair, and Professor of Art and Art History at UNCA. So he wears a lot of hats. And he's done a lot of mentorship and community work focused on social change through collaborative making. He's been teaching in many capacities for 30 years at universities, many of them craft programs across the nation, such as Penland, Aramont. God, there's a lot of them. Okay.
It's a great bio.
You can check out more. Let's see if there's anything else. Does that feel like a good summary of where he's at? And yeah, as Katie said, he joined us just in January. And he is our rep. So we have 3 designated seats that are filled or appointed by various organizations. UNCA is one of those. Arts AVL is one of those. And Explore Asheville is one of those. Penelope Whitman, who is not here today, is representing Explore Asheville. Katie Cornell is representing Arts AVL, and Brent is representing UNCA, or filling that designated seat. So,
Yeah, I just think the other one little piece that's valuable to mention too is that my seat rolls off sometime in the summer as well. So like this position that I'm in now will also be available soon. And so that I'm really loving the idea of Pat, who's been around and being able to support, but there's other opportunities for people to take these positions kind of pretty soon as well too. So I just think that's a valuable piece to add to the conversation. So.
Pat, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah.
Well, you know me very well.
I know, right? I feel like everybody actually knows. And so as long as you feel good about it, and I'm happy to hear
happy
it.
to.
I guess my question would be, are you interested in being chair? It's like, you
No,
mentioned
chair?
it, so-
No.
No, but vice chair is the role that we're technically in. So, and you are interested, yes?
Sure. Yeah. I'll ditto the answer from Brent.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, well, do we feel confident doing a vote at this point then? Okay, awesome. And the way we decided, since it's a little awkward that there are 2, we're gonna do a vote in favor for Pat and then a vote in favor for Brent, and then we'll just total the count. So if that feels good for everybody. So who would like to vote for Pat Kappas as vice chair? All right, I think we have the answer. Do I need to also ask about Brent, or I guess not if it's anonymous, or unanimous is the word?
I think that's pretty clear.
Great,
Got it.
Awesome.
Was gonna vote for Brent.
Pat would have put a vote in for Brent.
I was going to vote for Brent.
Let's
Okay.
write that in the minutes. No, I love that. Awesome. Do we need to motion to approve that? Is there something else specific I need to do, or are we officially vice chaired there?
I
Because they
think,
were already nominated, so I don't think we needed a motion.
right. I think
Stand
we're
by,
good to
we're
go.
working on the rule
I think we're
piece.
good to go.
Hooray! Well, welcome to the committee, Pat. I'm really happy to have you. It'll be fun. We have some good meetings. Okay, so the next thing we have on the agenda is some new business, and Carly's gonna do some updates on a few things for us.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to ask this group is for our April meeting, I am actually going to be out of town on the 18th.
Oh, I
think
missed
was
that one. I'm sorry.
third. Thursday. So is everybody okay if we move it by 1 week and do April 25th? So it's just the following Thursday, same time. Does that work for people? No?
Well, it's not that. It's that I close or I have to find someone to work in order for me to be here. And so I've kind of tried to plan out.
Oh, goodness, okay.
You know, this is why I've missed the past meeting, so let me see what I can do. And
Yeah.
no one else is saying today. I bet
Okay.
you can carry on without me if you must. But I know that there's a note on here about attendance, so we can talk about that when we get there.
Okay, yes, no, I appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know.
Yes.
And I know we're all trying to balance lots of other
Absolutely.
responsibilities
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
schedules, so totally understand that.
Yeah.
Yep. Does anybody else have any thoughts about that? We could also, we could cancel for
We
April.
could cancel one, yeah. I would not be available the same date as well, right? I would need to move it myself, unfortunately. I have something else
The
conflicting.
18th or the 25th?
I have the conflict on the normal meeting time, so the 18th. So the 25th would work for me, but it doesn't have to just be me now that we have a vice chair.
I'm available on that day.
On the 25th?
I can do the 25th.
I can
Okay.
make the 25th. I can make it work.
Okay, all right, thanks, everybody. Just let me know, what you're able to do, and we'll figure it out. I'll also let the other members who are not here know and get their input or feedback, and I'll let you know for sure about that switch after I talk to them. But it seems like the 25th will probably work.
Yeah. And then
Okay.
I did totally miss that I was supposed to also bring up the reminder on attendance. So it's a 75% rate of attendance, which is about 9 out of the 12 meetings or so if we do one every month. And I'm taking notes, but again, like we understand things happen, right? It's just sort of like we want to make sure people are available. So we'll just have that in written record. And if it becomes a big problem, we'll just have conversations. We understand that.
Yes.
Again, everybody's doing all sorts of things. But we hadn't been taking attendance recently, so I was just letting you guys know we were going to start that process again. Awesome. Okay, now we have updates from Carly.
Yeah, so I was just going to give a couple updates. One focused on the Urban Trail Committee or group. And we actually have Leslie Anderson here today from the Urban Trail Committee. She's been a longtime member and wanted to come in and listen in and hear how we run things. And what we're working on currently. So this is a group of volunteers that has, and as far as I know, has expanded a good bit even in the past few months that we've met. There are some community artists and other volunteers that have joined this group. There's kind of new momentum around making updates to the content of the Urban Trail stations and also to the online content. So the map that's hosted by Explore Asheville, making sure that's up to date, making sure that people can navigate the map, making sure that printed materials, reflect what's actually on the ground. So there's been a lot of discussion about that over the past few months. And this group has been meeting around monthly, probably for the past 6 or 7 months, I want to say, and then was kind of every other month and sporadically before then. But really feels like we've gotten into a rhythm, meeting more frequently, especially this year. And it has been organized by the City of Asheville staff for the most part during this time. And one of the main things that we've been focused on lately is the reinstallation of the Station Number 7, which is the Art Deco masterpiece. It was in front or on the wall outside of the Wells Fargo building, or where the Wells Fargo Bank is now. Those property owners changed over 5 or 6 years ago and asked that we take that marker down. And it's a very large piece. It's super heavy. It's about 7 feet tall, 4 feet wide. But it's a beautiful glass mosaic, has a bronze plaque embedded into it that mentions the donors for that particular artwork and talks a little bit about Art Deco architecture in Asheville and Douglas Ellington's contributions. Anyway, that's one of the focus is getting that put back up, and there have been many years spent, a lot of time spent, a lot of it before my time with the City of Asheville even, trying to find a place in the public right-of-way where that would work and where it would fit. But every place we tried to put it, there were utility conflicts, there wasn't enough space on the sidewalk, there were visibility and safety issues. So we have, at the beginning of last year, decided that we're gonna move in a different direction because we were trying to do the same thing and it wasn't working. And we've decided to do a new call for artists. And it's about creating a brand new marker, a brand new Art Deco masterpiece to represent that Urban Trail Station number 7 and the content, Art Deco architecture in Douglas Ellington. And the location is going to be, I kind of jumped ahead of myself a little bit, but anyway, I'll get back to some of the other things on the slide. So this is the original location here. You can see on the wall of Wells Fargo, that is the glass mosaic piece, and it has been in storage since it was removed. We had an artist in the middle of last year, a ceramic artist, Alex Irvine, go out and take a look at it and just do an assessment and make sure that it wasn't damaged and it wouldn't need any repairs if we were gonna put it back up somewhere. And he said it's in remarkably good shape for how long it's been in storage, so that is good. So as I said, we're gonna put out a call for artists to create something brand new, and it's gonna be located out in front of the S&W building, and we're really hoping that it's something engaging and interactive. Concepts that have been explored include doing like a mosaic table and chairs that, you know, reflects the architecture and the archways and the mosaic, and maybe having a sculpture done of Douglas Ellington sitting at one of the chairs so that, you know, you could sit down and have lunch with Douglas Ellington. That's just things that we've explored, but we're opening it up to anybody, any concept, kind of any idea of how they want to interpret what that station could be. And then the original masterpiece will live in Pack Library as part of a display. We've been working with Catherine Cutshall with Buncombe County that highlights the urban trail and possibly other art and culture trails. So that would be a great collaboration with Explore Asheville, and a place where people could come and find out about all the different historical and cultural trails throughout Asheville. So as we get moving with that and start getting, you know, designs and quotes from the county on what that might look like, we'll definitely keep you updated on that. And this is the tentative schedule for that call for artists. This is aggressive. I always give myself really aggressive timelines. And then
You do pretty well at them, honestly.
I try to stick to them. But yeah, the idea is that RFQ, call for artists, will go out on 3/27, submissions due 4/22, and then we'd have semifinalist interviews mid-May, and then hopefully have it installed by the end of 2024. So that's my goal, and I'm going to stick to it until it gets completely, trashed somewhere along the way. And you can see here in the photos of where that location is. So if you're facing the S&W building, it would be to the far left of that outdoor dining area, and could integrate with that space. And I need, from you all, I need a PAC member to serve on that artist selection panel. So if anybody is interested in historic art, okay?
Oh, good. It's really fun. I was going to say. I've enjoyed that part of the process. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so meeting with the Urban Trail Committee I guess it was about a month ago now, a member of their committee has also volunteered to join, or volunteered at that last meeting. Her name is Mary Fierley. Yeah, so she's going to serve. I have our Historic Resources Commission leader, Alex Cole, within Planning and Urban Design, that's going to serve on that with us too. Another artist who's been participating with the Urban Trail Group, her name is Ruth Greenberg, and she's a ceramic artist as well, so she's going to serve on that selection panel. So I think we'll have a pretty good group to make a good decision. And then I'm also working with a group of internal staff members, so people from Public Works and Transportation, that will help, with that more technical review of the location, making sure we're not going over utilities or doing something in the public realm that's gonna be a big no-no. So yeah, that is an update on that process. And I wanted to go back to talking about the Urban Trail Group. So at our last meeting, one of the questions that arose and was up for discussion was the relationship between the Urban Trail Group and the Public Art and Culture Commission. Currently, there's nothing formalized. The Urban Trail Group used to be an official subcommittee of PAC, and then I think just coordination didn't really happen, and kind of got out of a routine with that. And so it feels like right now the two groups are operating independently of each other. And I think there's a need to eliminate that parallel work and figure out how to, bring PAC's work plan and work of the commission, the Urban Trail Committee kind of under one umbrella. So I think that that's something that could really be hashed out and figured out in that working group that I'm assuming is probably going to form around policy and process updates, as we're really focusing this year on getting ourselves organized and making sure that we're being as efficient as possible. So I feel like that working group could work with members from the Urban Trail Group to figure out what that looks like. And that's kind of my thoughts on that. But I did want to open the discussion up for people if there are additional questions or thoughts about the work that the Urban Trail Group is doing or the S&W effort.
Personally, I like the idea of that coordination. I didn't know the history, but it was always like, why are we doing two separate things here? And we just spent time doing our strategic plans to what we want to do, so it's hard for me to see we have that, but that's not on our radar. We're not coordinating with
We
each
have
other.
specific projects that we're working on that are,
Yes, I understand. But, to kind of fly separately, it doesn't feel like it's smart, that we all ought to work to figure out how we align on what we're doing, what the priorities are, and, where we're going with things. So that'd just be my thought.
yeah, agreed.
Exciting to think about folding it in and getting it formalized too, right? For you, for us, for everybody, for the collaboration. And then also I feel like when I started years ago, 6 or 7, we were still talking a little bit about the Art Deco masterpiece. So it's like exciting to see it moving and shifting and kind of where it is now. I think, Carly, we say this a lot, but like you do a lot of amazing work being able to put things on the plate and move it forward. I just think it's really cool to see, right? So just wanted to make that note.
Organized, Carly.
She is good at this.
I'm trying.
You're doing great.
Anybody else?
I just have a quick question. Do we know how much parallel work is happening? Do we have a sense of what the parallel? It says here to need to eliminate. Do we have which is?
Yeah, I think that's more like we're making a work plan here. We're prioritizing work for public art. The public art inventory, a big portion of the public art inventory is the urban trail. So when we're, figuring out what those work plan projects are and we're deciding on that, I think that we need to make sure that that is our focus, are those particular projects. And if there are, and maybe there becomes some sort of reporting structure that happens where the Urban Trail Group, if they have, specific work that they want to prioritize or work on that's outside of, what PAC has prioritized, that's like a separate effort that they come and talk to PAC about.
Okay.
I don't know how exactly we're going to formalize that or figure out that relationship, but just that we're not getting sidetracked or working in separate efforts or silos,
Plus you've
is
got-
the goal.
Plus you've
Thanks.
got the whole big maintenance need to be good if we were all on the same page about it, because that's a big opportunity.
Yeah, yep, definitely. Okay.
All right. Thinking about it?
No? Okay.
Here we are.
John, take it away. Are we? That never happens.
By like 6 minutes, I think.
Okay, great. Well, I think everyone knows me, but for those at home, my name is John Philman. I'm the Community Event Manager with the Department of Community and Regional Entertainment Facilities. And I'm here to provide a brief update on the conversations we had with Brent and with Pete, the work to do the updates to our competitive selection criteria. So I know Alexandra was not here at the last meeting. I think everybody else was. So I just want to take a moment to go back through this summary. The impact assessment worksheet is a tool that we use to make decisions as a form of measurement between events in determining the allocation of outdoor public space for permitted events. And our office permits and schedules outdoor public spaces for events. Sometimes we have 2 requests at the same time for the same date and the same event, and we have to have a structure and criteria to make the decisions on what is the best and highest use for the potential space. So the last time this was reviewed was in 2019 with the Outdoor Special Event Team, and now that we have the Public Art and Cultural Commission to vet and report to, we're using this commission as a body that can help us make these decisions on the changes. So we had a meeting, we met for an hour, we evaluated all of the criteria, and this, Pete, you'll probably see as a simplified explanation of what we talked about there. We overall made a recommendation to increase the weights on economic impact. No changes were recommended to roads and transit impact. Our community impact was adjusted down. Environmental impact was adjusted down. And city services were considered consideration only. So I'll go into a little more detail on what we're talking about when we're making those adjustments and what our next steps will be after today. So impact on city services, and this was one that I think Pete was thinking, is that this really shouldn't be a mathematical equation on what you're using for city support. This should be a decision that is either this event potentially requires a larger impact on city services, and this event may have a lesser. That's maybe a plus or a minus in our scoring, but not necessarily the calculations that we had initially. So that's where we would be pretty much eliminating this impact on city services item, but still considering it in overall. Does that sound right to you, Pete?
Yeah.
I want you to be able to
that
contribute.
we would just take the algorithm away and just discuss it with common sense as to what the impact would be, because it, as you said, the score could show that it's something really high when in fact overall, if you looked at it, it wasn't that big of impact or vice versa.
Right, yeah, that was great. Community impact. I think this is another one. I want to give credit to Pete for utilization of public transportation. Not all events are accessible from public transportation in Asheville. And so weighing that against one event, one event may be held at Carrier Park where there's no public transportation services, and another event could be held at Pack Square Park where there is, and we shouldn't be evaluating based on the public transportation impacts those events could have from a utilization standpoint, not from an interruption standpoint. We also had a recommendation to add cultural impact, and I've not heard back from legal on that, but I feel like our next step is going to help us get the question framed correctly for legal, because right now asking to add a cultural impact, my question was simply, could we use this category when we're not able to base our decisions on event content? So that is kind of a broad question, and I think if we can get down some criteria for underneath that category, it'll help legal better understand what we're asking. So that's highlighted there, and we've removed utilization of public transportation.
So just a second on that, this is really looking at what are the values of the city or community, because you could have one lens, it's just how many people, how long is it going to be impact, without taking into account the sea of culture impact and really looking at that whole aspect of it. Like when we did Art and Heart, there was a really big focus on that component, and I think that really ended up with much better output. So really being able to build that into what we're doing here, I think it'd be good.
And then cost to attend was simplified. That was where we had a score for a low-cost event that may have a ticketed admission of up to $20, and then we had higher rates and higher rates than that, and I think it was agreed that we would just make that a more simpler process. There's either a cost to attend or there's not. We made no changes to impact on roads and transit. So this is still looking at the quantity and type of roads that would be closed, the length of closure, the time of day, and potentially any transit interruptions that would be resulting from the street closures. Economic impact. This is one of the reasons why we were asked to go back and look through this, because our economic impact was not offsetting our other impacts for larger events. Where we spoke for Alexandra, I'll share that we had a marathon competing against a small community 5K. The marathon was confident that they were going to win out because they were bringing in all of the outside people to Asheville to experience our community, and that they were a much larger event and that would be a benefit. But in essence, when we went through the impact assessment, the smaller 5K won out because that was the event that was, it didn't have really virtually any economic impact, but it had a strong community impact. And the community impact was somewhat outweighing any potential economic impact. So we're looking to increase the weights on that. Environmental impact, we removed some measures, and one made a lot of sense, the reservation of parks. Well, people are generally coming to us when they're looking to reserve parks and public spaces, and so reservation of parks we eliminated. Amplified sound is something that's addressed under the city's new noise ordinance, and so that isn't something that we necessarily need to consider. And green initiatives, these were also considered to have an equity concern, in that greening an event costs money. And that is something that we want to be careful that we're cognizant of when we're evaluating people's capacity to green their event. Since then, I had a conversation with our sustainability office, and they asked us to please give them an opportunity to come up with some measures that would be free or relatively low cost for anyone, that anyone could do. So I highlighted that one as one that we'll probably revisit because I think that if we can get some from them, and it just serendipitously worked out that I had this meeting with them to talk about updating our green initiatives brochure that's part of our event guide. And they said, oh, please leave it in just for the moment. Let us get you some ideas that events can do more affordably.
So they'd want to be able to set it up to minimize any adverse impact then?
Yes.
You still use it as a criteria?
Yeah, we'll see. So this is our next step, and hopefully Pete and Brent and I can get together again in the coming month and talk about prioritization of these measures. So where we stand right now, I broke these into 3 type of categories. And right now, the way the weights are is the strongest weight comes down to historical precedent and recovery time of properties after the event takes place. I don't have to necessarily read these all to you. You can see them here. But I don't know that they necessarily, that the weights as we had them are going to align with the priorities of this committee. Is our strongest weight going to be in outside spending or in local service provider participation? And is the weakest event going to relate to effect on businesses, residents, and costs of free or attend? So our next meeting we'll have following this meeting today is going to be going through each of these and trying to put them in the right buckets. Put the items in the buckets that the committee feels are, or the work group, I should say, feels are most imperative and least imperative when it comes to that, and reassigning the scores from that, where in the next meeting I'll make another update on where we are with that. One of the recommendations also coming out of this, the conversations we had earlier this month, was about this body of people here making the decisions when we do have to use this tool. And making a recommendation, I should say, not a decision, but making a recommendation, and then we'll take that recommendation back to the outdoor special event team, and we will hopefully come to the conclusion of one event or the other wins out. But we'd like to have this committee be engaged in any decisions when we're using this tool. I think that's it for my update today. Does anyone have any questions?
Can you talk a little bit about next steps, like as far as how these would be finalized and approved and what steps?
Yes,
would need to
so when we present at the next meeting, we will hopefully have all of these prioritized in the order that the subcommittee feels is appropriate. And at that point, I think it would be, the recommendation would be that the committee vote to approve those recommendations. Then we will take that back to the outdoor special event team and ask the city to make the final decision on the recommendation from the committee. And from there, we'll have our new form, our new structure around the decision-making tool.
Yeah, the other thing I'd add that we talked about was that when we asked John how often he has to use this, he's saying it's relatively seldom that we have to be able to do it. So Brett and I said, just aside from the math, that we'd be available if John wanted to be able to pull us as a subcommittee on an ongoing basis to kind of break any ties before we come back in here and
Sure.
talk about what we're doing.
Yes,
So we can give you support with that as well, and not just
awesome, thank
have
you,
swinging out there.
thank you. Carly, anything else?
Not for me. I think this is great and good work to you and the focus group on
Just
this.
taking it step by step.
Yeah.
We could have made a little more progress in the past month, but I was out for a week or 10 days, and so that broke up the month, but we'll get back on it this month and hopefully finish it up.
Seemed like a pretty good amount of work in 30 days, from what I can tell.
So
We're
what
overachievers.
is the process now? Like, so we'll wait for this to be implemented, but until then, I'm asking for partially selfish reasons.
Love that.
What are you gonna do?
Right, so at the moment, we have the current tool that we're using, which is this here, and it evaluates, does this mouse use a 2-finger scroll or 1-finger no scroll? Okay. So these are the areas of impact that we're looking at now, and we would be bringing back a potential decision request to the committee using the current scoring model, looking at the 2 different events that we're potentially going to be having to make a decision on. The good news, at least in the case of these 2 events, is that we have an alternate weekend the weekend before that I feel will be available. So ideally, we'll have one event the one weekend and one event the next weekend. It's just who gets their preferred, who gets that preferred weekend.
We know that.
And so, but we've had some other requests come in for some weekends. The same month of September is our most popular event of the year, or popular month of the year. And I've been telling everyone that's looking at any dates around those 2 weekends, don't even think about it. I've got enough to consider right now without any new requests. We've got people in the wings, ready to go, and we just need to make that decision as soon as we can, which I think is coming up at the end of next week.
I appreciate your work on this.
Yeah,
And
thanks for your
how
leadership,
it's
John.
going and all
Yep.
that you put in. Thank you.
It's
Sure.
amazing. Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so I will close this out, go back to the presentation, so
Thank
Carly
you
can
so
continue.
much, John.
You're welcome,
All
you're
right.
welcome.
The next thing we have on our list is updates on the PAC work plan.
Yeah.
Pretty exciting.
I'm gonna ask Pat and Rachel to chime in here as I go through this. We met twice over the past month to focus on the work plan, and we talked a lot about the way that it was organized and really how to split up which of these projects are more of a staffed focus kind of lead / role, and which ones are PAC focused, and where can PAC plug in on these specific projects. And so we looked back at the ordinance, and we looked at what we are, or what PAC is, authorized or asked to do on this commission. What are the roles, what are the tasks, and split them into these 6 bullet points here. So, doing research, looking at best practices, maybe, talking to other cities about what they're doing. I feel like that under the ordinance is one of the roles of PAC. Promotion and marketing of our public art, of course. And now, we have Explore Asheville seat here that can really help us push and drive some of that. Community engagement, so when we have various city events that are happening where public art is a component, or programming or events are a component, making sure that we have PAC representation there, and input on the planning for that. And then offering expertise and advice. All of you all have various experience and as artists, as makers, as more on the administrative or grant side. So bringing that to the table when needed on specific projects will be an ask. And then developing process and policy for public art selection. And this year, that's going to be one of our big tasks that we're going to focus on. And then building partnerships and resources. So being able, if you know of an organization that's focused on a particular priority and it aligns with something we're working on, make sure that we're aware at the table that that's happening, making sure that those connections are happening and that we're not missing opportunities to do better. So next steps for getting this work plan into a digestible format is to go through and pick the 3 projects that we think we're going to focus on in 2024 that will have bigger or larger amounts of PAC roles. And as a reminder, we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting, but a focus group is, a couple people work on an effort that is maybe going to take a month or 2, like this selective criteria, or evaluating the special event criteria, looking at our work plan, things that we can turn around relatively quickly. Working groups have a longer term, it's probably going to take the entire year, maybe 2 years. We're going to need that group to really be in the know and stay updated and be involved for a longer amount of time. And we haven't completely defined those yet. I think we know sort of where we're going with those working groups, but the idea is that we're going to come back with proposals for those at our next meeting and have those roles and tasks pretty well defined on what will be required from the PAC members serving on that group.
So we had talked about refreshing the strategy every year, so this would be an ongoing group that would be responsible for narrowing that group down into kind of yearly buckets and then staying on top of it. Am I understanding that right or no? Because when we did the offsite, we kind of took a whole array of things we wanted to do. Now you're going down to 3. If I'm understanding you right, if we did an annual refresh of strategy, priorities might change. That group would go
Yeah,
through
the
same
idea
process
would
of
be
narrowing
this
it down.
format that we're putting together for the work plan right now would be
Becomes the
something that we
process.
could repeat annually
That's the
and
action
fill
plan
out.
that drives it down. Yep.
Yeah, that's the idea.
We
And
love
it's,
it.
we know it's not gonna be super neat and tidy like that, perfect every
That makes
time. There's
sense.
gonna be
Yep,
stuff
no,
that
no.
comes up, but just really trying to help us focus.
That's good.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. So hopefully by the next meeting, we haven't scheduled our next sessions where we're gonna get together and dig in again, but hopefully we'll be able to have those working group recommendations and the focus and roles.
And I really like the idea of moving out to working groups, because it's real ineffective to do that in here and everybody weigh in. It's a lot better to just pair off, take a few people, knock these things out, get some eyes on them and come back, so.
Yep.
That's good.
Agreed. Okay, any other questions or thoughts on that? Did I cover what we talked about pretty well, Rachel and Pat?
Yeah, I thought this process really helped me figure out, add clarity to what we actually can do as members of this commission, and that felt important to do before we dug into our massive laundry list, wish list of
Yes,
projects
yes,
that we
yes,
wanted to do.
yes,
So,
Yeah, it definitely helped, and I think, all the work that you did to sort of help us sort of process everything was, as somebody who's extremely new to this commission, very helpful. So I think it's gonna be good.
Great.
Team Carly.
It's so cool to see, yeah. And these are great priorities and things as well, too, just to make it easier to decide.
Well, we had talked a lot about how do we move from talking about this stuff into really knocking some things out and getting them done, and I think work with getting this thing organized and getting the right people in the right places, really gonna put us in a good position.
Great. Okay. Thank you for that discussion and the questions and feedback.
That was well done.
Okay, so now I'm just going to open things up and go around the table. We want to hear what everybody's working on, any upcoming events or shares that you want to share with the rest of the commission. This would be the time.
Well, Punch Bucket has a reading tonight if anybody wants to hear some poets do some pretty awesome stuff. And that's something that we work on all the time. That's very creative.
Yes. We were talking about ways of like getting these links to each other and stuff too. Maybe when we send out the agenda and we do these, if you think of them, feel free to send the links and we'll make sure they get in the.
I could, put them in the agenda.
Yeah, I think it'd
links
just be
to the
nice to
events.
have that too when you're like,
Because
hey,
it's like 2 hours from now.
right? That's
See y'all
like
there,
nice to
right?
have it beforehand, right? Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anyone else have exciting, fun art projects and things to share? Arts Council, I'm sure there's some stuff going on.
Well, I mean, we put out an article this week, just all of the different projects that we have grant-funded events that are coming up, including the event support grant that we administer on behalf of the city. So there's a lot of fun upcoming events that are on our website right now.
Can I ask a quick question? How did your survey go for the art space, living art space?
It's done, but I haven't looked at it yet. And so that's on my to-do list tomorrow.
I'm just hoping you hit your 500 number.
We have 400.
Okay.
We got 400 surveys.
I definitely sent it out to a lot of folks. So.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Anyone else have things they want to share about the arts world? What's going on in?
Yeah, the thing I'd add from Arts AVL standpoint is that we're doing a lot of work now because giving is down so much for all nonprofits. We're really looking at strategy. We're aiming toward a June strategy meeting where we really get clear and laser down on where do we have capacity, where do we have the funding, how do we do that? Because Katie's taken us so far in terms of building up the impact of this organization, what it is we're doing. Now we're at the point that we've got to be choiceful about where and how we plan ourselves and what we do. So we got a number of new board members, so we want to get them involved with it too and really support Katie and driving some clarity going forward with that.
It's exciting.
So it's not my event, but
That's okay.
Fringe Festival is
Oh,
happening
yeah.
this week. And there's at least 3 events happening at Norn Collective. I'm excited about that.
That's awesome.
Great.
Anyone else want to share? Okay, we are now on public comment. We had 0 public comment submitted beforehand, but I am going to open it up and invite anyone who wants to provide public comment in person. If you do want to step up, please speak into the microphone, state your name and any affiliations that you may have. So, is there anyone who wants to make public comment at this time? Okay. I want to make sure we had space for you if you wanted to. Okay, absolutely. We're happy to have you here. Absolutely. Come on up, John.
I'm not, this may happen just right after the next meeting, but I wanted to mention that the Reparations Jamboree is on Saturday, April 27th. And this is going to be the first time the city has done this event. It's going to be a city-executed event. And it looks like a pretty sizable plan. So Dewana Little with the Reparations Commission is working on that with Salah. So it's really exciting to have this first event coming up on the 27th of next month.
Thank you for sharing that. Okay, well, I will now adjourn the meeting unless there are any objections. So adjourned. Yay!